Okay. For this assignment, we're just basically talking about being wrong, what it feels like to be wrong, and why it feels like that, basically, is the assignment. So the first question is, what is a topic or subject where you pretend to be knowledgeable?
Okay. Sometimes at work, when I'm maybe in an exam room and a client starts questioning me further on diagnosis or the medical condition of their pet, sometimes I have to kind of pretend that I'm more knowledgeable on a subject than I truly am.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm typing. That's why I'm not saying anything.
Okay.
Okay. Can you give an example of a time when you pretended to know more than you actually did?
When a client asked one particular time, I know about a condition that her pet had that was not something I had really dealt with before, but she was pretty distraught, and I didn't want her to lose confidence in the place she had brought her pet to. So,
Okay.
I did kind of maybe elaborate a bit on what I knew using, medical terms that I knew applied to that condition, but maybe giving vague answers. But ultimately, I did tell her, but if you have more questions, I'll send the doctor in.
Okay. So, I guess you kind of already answered the next question, which is, why did you pretend?
Yeah, a lot of it's two reasons. I mean, to give them confidence in us as a medical facility, but yes, truly, it is also for. I have to be honest and say that my own keeping myself from kind of embarrassment in that situation, because it is a little bit self-serving, I suppose.
Okay. So after the interaction, although I'm sure there's like multiple interactions that this has happened, but did you take steps to educate yourself on the subject, or do you continue to pretend? Not sure that really applies, but yeah.
No, when these things happen, when things come up medically, I generally go right away and research at least somewhat so that I can answer the particular questions that that client had, because I don't want it to happen again. Plus, when I come up with a subject medically at work that I don't know much about, I tend to like to educate myself on it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. The next question is, what's stopping you from learning more about the topic or subject, if anything? So, like, I know that you said you usually do find out more about it, but is there anything that's stopping you from learning, like, even more, or, like, you know what I mean? Like, I know that you do learn more about it already, but is there any obstacles or reasons why it's harder?
My obstacles at this point sometimes are just retention. I might learn something about something, and then it's hard to retain it sometimes. Or I might go into depth research about it, and then it may be very confusing. And if I get to the point where I'm like, yeah, I don't understand this, I might ask one of the doctors to help me and help explain it to me in more layman's terms, or I just kind of stop. I put the brakes on and say, okay, never mind for now.
Okay. Okay. That is the end of the section on your experience.
Okay.
Unless you have anything else to add about those. Okay. The next part of this is, what is a social issue that you feel most people pretend to understand, or at least behave as if they understand it better than they do? Any social issue at all, just whatever you think is something.
I think healthcare.
Okay, that's a good one. Healthcare. Okay. So, like, anything specific, or just healthcare in general, like science, or...
No, I think a lot of people don't understand how it works, in that many people think that we should just give out free health care.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And it's not that simple. I don't think it's that simple at all. They don't think about the consequences of that. There are consequences to giving out free health care, and they just, a lot of people just think that it's possible and it's just an easy thing to do, and why don't we just do that? Mm-hmm. But there's a lot more to it than that. Okay.
So why do you think they pretend to be knowledgeable about that?
I think it's an emotional issue to some extent, and I understand it. It's difficult. It's very hard when you see people with health issues and they don't have the money, because medical treatment is very expensive and very costly. But there are places that treat, they're specifically geared to treat people that have problems financially. But a lot of that is known or well known. Mm-hmm. So, and also the flip side, I guess the other side of it is people don't understand why healthcare is so expensive, and that it just shouldn't be.
I see. So just not...
I don't even know a whole lot about it. It's something that I would like to be more educated about.
Mm-hmm. So it's just like the understanding of how it actually works is what people miss, right? Like, they just don't think about the actual, like, facts and the way that it works with
and the consequences of one or the other. I mean, handing out free health care would mean a lot of changes to the healthcare system.
Yeah. Okay. So you kind of already touched on this, but what can we do to help people acknowledge and embrace their ignorance, either like about this specific subject, maybe making it more known about the what's it called? The affordable options that you had mentioned. Mm-hmm. So what can we do to help people acknowledge and embrace their just like misconceptions and misunderstandings?
Well, I mean, I suppose.
Or just like, how do you get people to understand that they don't understand? Like, that they have this idea about what healthcare is and how it works and what free healthcare is, but they really have this like false narrative going on in their head. So how do you like get people to recognize that?
you can try to get the information out there, but it's difficult because, like I said, it's an emotional issue. And I think that when you're dealing with emotional issues, people have a tendency to have opinions that don't budge very easily. Mm-hmm. So I think that would be a difficult thing to do too. Get information out there, have literature available, be sure and maybe advertising some of the facilities that are out there treating patients who don't have insurance or can't afford. Or even just also, the whole idea of having more affordable insurance, but that's a whole nother subject.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty then. Well, is there any other suggestions you have about this?
Not really. I don't think so. I think this is just a complicated subject.
Yeah. Alrighty then. Well, thank you for participating.
You're welcome.